title of the article is, Schrader says he tries to be a centrist. It's very generous of the writer of this particular article. Who is the writer? Let me just take one guess. It's either Peter or Queen. Nope, it's Paul Barton. Okay, Paul Barton. All right, and here's what he says to defend him. He says, Representative Kurt Schrader and his fellow Democrats sometimes resemble a canyon. Well, yeah, their mouths are gaping. Anyway, he says, take the Bowles-Simpson deficit reduction plan, for instance, crafted by former Senator Alan Simpson, the Republican from Wyoming, and former Democratic White House Chief of Staff Erskine Bowles. It calls for a blend of budget cuts and increased revenues through tax reform to cut more than $4 trillion from federal deficits during 10 years. When it came to a vote in March, Schrader was one of only 38 yes votes, including just 22 of 190 Democrats against 382 in opposition. And when it came to extending cuts in Social Security payroll taxes, he was one of 41 Democrats who voted no. Heck, he even voted against Nancy Pelosi being the minority leader of the House Democrats. And he said, quote, I see myself as pretty much a centrist, unquote. I think I know the guy who might think that could be a bunch of hooey, and that's Fred Thompson. Hi, Fred.
Hi, Bill. I got a kick out listening to you read that because I read the article this morning and I got a big chuckle out of it. It's what they do. It's election time, right? It's election season, so we got to run to the middle or run to the far right and try to convince those that I'm everything for everybody when you want it. So there we go. That's Mr. Schrader.
It is. He and I think somebody who's even does it even worse in Oregon is Peter DeFazio. Peter DeFazio, he literally detests this place, but he'll show up at Oregon Duck games every time it's election time. He just cracks me up. He shows up, hey, how you doing? So Kurt Schrader, that's the way they are.
You're right. It's called weather vane politics.
Yeah.
So that's the game they play. And in that article too, it talked that he zigzags. I got a kick out of that. He zigzags. So
right.
It's we can call him the zigzag Schrader, I guess. Because of that. But the bottom line is he just didn't have the skill set for what we need today because we're in such dire straits in this country and in this state. So we need really strong leadership, which that's what I'm going to provide, and somebody that's going to stand for doing what's right for the long term, not just what the next election's all about.
All right, so let's use this zigzag analogy for just a moment. So let's say we define zig as, well, he voted against Nancy Pelosi, and he was one of a few Democrats that voted for the Bowles-Simpson Act. Where would be a zag?
Well, he voted against Nancy, but he voted with Nancy on the Obamacare, okay? Mm-hmm. So he voted with Nancy. You remember what she said? Let's pass it and then see what's in it. It's like buying a car and then asking somebody, I've been driving this thing for 3 months. What's the payments on it?
Yeah.
So he voted with her because he felt that they had the wind in their sails, that he was going to pass that and everybody was going to embrace him and love him and reelect him. And then he found out that didn't happen, so then he throws Nancy under the bus when he should have asked the question in the beginning, saying, wait a minute here, this thing is going to destroy America, and it truly is, because you can't have anything that increases at 10% a year and try to put any kind of control around that. It's not going to happen. It's just going to run away from you, and that's exactly what that bill is going to do. And for them to just be so arrogant to go ahead and pass something at midnight, not even read it, and then figure out what's in it is total. To me, it's just un-American. And so that's what he did.
Sure, and so there would be one that if we play with this little zigzag thing, that would be a definite zag. What's maybe another one that really bugs you?
Well, what he's trying to do right now with the ONC Timberland, he's trying to align himself with Greg Walden and Peter DeFazio to try to pretend like they're actually going to create some jobs. And it may be something to look at. It may be one of the plans. But the real plan is to get the federal government out of our timberland and turn it back to the counties and let them run that. But they're going to try because it's election time and he wants to show that he's bipartisan. He's going to put his arm around Greg Walden and stand there and say, well, look, we're trying to work something out here. and when we've lost 299 mills and over 40,000 people have lost their jobs. I mean, is his vision no farther out than the end of his nose? Don't you know when you shut the mills down and shut the timber off that you're going to kill this economy? And that's what I'm talking about. They just don't look into the future and see, exactly what's going to happen based on, the policies that we put forth today.
Mm. Again, Fred Thompson, the Republican nominee for the 5th Congressional District, and he'll be facing in November Kurt Schrader, the incumbent Democrat. And again, we're kind of referring to this article that came out in the newspaper this morning in Salem, and,
sure.
and we both got a big kick out of it.
Yeah.
Schrader said that he's proud to join other Democrats on issues such as labor rights. Now, I'll tell you, just Fred, as a little preview, and coming up in a little while, I'm going to talk with Sarah Ross from Cascade Policy about right-to-work states. What's your thoughts on right-to-work in Oregon?
We should have a right-to-work state. That's how you really drive the economy. Those who want to be part of a union can be part of a union, but it shouldn't be. The union should not be driving the businesses in this state, and not everything should be controlled by that law. So it should be a right-to-work state. The ones that have a very vibrant economy, and we need to really embrace that. So that's where I come back on that.
Do you know, and I don't know, I don't have this information from me, but has Kurt Schrader had quite a bit of backing from the public employees unions?
Behind the public employees union, he certainly has, yeah, and then, of course, the post office workers, but, as far as the labor unions go, he's not very favored there at all. So because they're hurting, there's no work. So,
there's no dues.
As far as the government workers and the postal workers, yeah, I mean, the guy that delivered my mail here last year was one of the guys that would take time off during the election and walk the precincts and neighborhoods, and he would get paid for it to help Schrader out.
Wow, that's so amazing.
And the union pays for that. The union allows that. School teachers do the same thing.
Yep.
And they get out there and work for that. But I'll tell you, that's very short-sighted on the union side, because you can't continue to ask for people to pay the price for all of this and not, and they're out of work themselves. I mean, we saw that in Wisconsin. People are starting to wise up that, the ones that get all the benefit are, of course, and the ones that don't have that to pay for it. And that's, it's not right. It's not American.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let me ask you this. We've been talking today about these ballot measures that we're trying to, or I should say these petitions, initiatives we're trying to get as ballot measures. And the thought always comes to me at this time of the year, this June, July, maybe a little into August period of an election year. There's almost sort of this dead zone, this doldrum, sort of or the calm before the storm, whatever you want to call it. Are you finding that's kind of going on right now? And is it kind of frustrating to get people fired up right now?
Actually, not for me, Bill, because there seems to be a new awakening now. But I didn't see this in 2009 and the first part of 2010.
Oh, good.
I'm booked 2 or 3 times a day, and it just goes on and on and on, which I'm grateful for. Whether you're meeting with 6 people or you're meeting with 60 people, I'm just every day there's something going on. I get quite energized by it because. My dad used to say all the time, he'd say, Freddie, he says, when you talk, you're repeating something you already know, but when you listen, you're going to learn something new. So I spend a lot of time listening. And the people have a lot of concerns, good ideas, and they truly do want to go back to American values and the Constitution. So this has been really, really exciting for me, and I'm, energized by it. The issue is I had to put a couple things on hold. To be able to make sure that I have plenty of time available for people. So I'm 24/7. So if somebody wants to meet at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm there. It doesn't make any difference to me. If you got an idea, you want to talk about something, call me and let's talk about it.
I like it. The last statement that was in this article that I kind of get a kick out of, it said, this was the writer and then a quote. It said, the 60-year-old Democrat, speaking of Kurt Schrader, said of his voting record, quote, it depends on the issue for Kurt Schrader. I'm about solutions. Now, the thing that stood out to me was the issue for Kurt Schrader. What happened to his constituents?
You're absolutely right on that, Bill. I saw that too, and I thought, my goodness, but that's the way they work. Bill, look, what I have seen, and when people ask me, why are you running for Congress, and I say, well, look, my time in Vietnam, I realized that my government can make some terrible mistakes. The other issue is that the politicians I see today are just totally disregard the middle income people. And the third thing is that what I see out of Washington, D.C., not everyone, but most of them, Schrader's one of these, they're really concerned on three things. They're concerned about special interests, they're concerned about their party, and they're concerned about getting reelected. And that seems to be the driver for him. It's certainly the driver for Kurt Schrader. I'm not worried about the election in 2014. I'm worried about getting elected in 2012. Somebody yesterday when I walked in there and they said, here comes my congressman. And I said, no, my future congressman. I said, no, here comes your honorable servant, because that's the way I'm going to look at it. I'm serving the people. I'm going to serve them until everybody's working so much overtime that they start complaining about it. My job's done and I'll resign. Because that's what I want to do. I want to get these families back to work, get moms and dads so they can take care of their future and their children's future. Senior citizens can have a good life and not worry about what they're going to do with their Social Security or their benefits. And then we all become Americans again. When that happens, Bill, I'm done. I'm coming home. I'm holding my wife's hand and spending the rest of my time with doing whatever she wants me to do, which she has plenty on that list.
I'll bet you she's got that honey-do list, yeah.
Well, right. That's the way it is, and that's the way it should be. I adore the woman, and she's been the center point of my life, and she gave me two fabulous sons. I'm certainly grateful for that, and I'm living a good life. And now it's time to serve the people of Oregon and serve the people of America.
All right,
that's what I want to do.
I like it. Once again, Fred Thompson, the Republican nominee for the 5th Congressional District of Oregon. What's the best place or website or whatever for folks to learn more?
Well, we're completely overhauling the website. That's being done right now, so that's under construction, and I got some people hired to do that, so I'm employing people, right?
Yeah.
The best thing to do is to go to Fred Thompson Salem on my Facebook. That's very active. There's a lot of conversation going on there. People ask questions. I respond to it. I try to get on that 2 or 3 times a day. I'm on it at 4:30 in the morning and on it again at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. So do that, and then if you want me, to help you, just send me a note, send me a message, and then I'll be there.
Okay.
So that's kind of the way I run it right now.
Good, I like it. All right, Fred, thank you for your time today.
Bill, thank you for the phone call and the invitation to come on your great show. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
God bless America.
All right, I love it. On Flag Day, exactly. God bless America. Thank you, Fred. Appreciate the time. Fred Thompson, the Republican nominee for the 5th Congressional District. If you live in Marion County, we're in the heart of the district, basically, and on up a little bit north towards the Portland area and a little bit just south of us and so on, east, west.